doing a quick mic test as I try to fix the audio for the background music and hear if my voice is clear enough over it. All right, let's get this show started. So, welcome to day 3. I'm still messing around with some audio stuff. I don't know why I always have so much trouble with this, but maybe one day I'll get this working in a way where it just actually works when I start up a stream. But that being said, let me close out some of these windows on my computer, and then I'll start walking us through what the plan is for today, because there's a lot to do. My goal today really is going to revolve around getting the tile map editor working. So let me just close out these other windows real quick. I was working on a bunch of actually, I wanted to save that one. Whoops. I'm working on a bunch of okay. Not getting sleep is what I'm working on. I'm working on a bunch of other projects all at the same time. And what I wanted to do is, hold on, let's close out the rest of this stuff. Bring this over here. All right, let's figure out how to build a level editor inside of a Game Boy Color. I can close this. I don't need this. Leave. Oh, whoops! I closed all of Chrome. Thought I was in Visual Studio and I closed. Oh no! Just why is this not working today? I am really on very little sleep today for some reason. I was up at like 3 in the morning. So many ideas, so many things to build, and not feeling like I'm making any progress whatsoever. But yesterday we did do something interesting, and we'll just take a look real quick. So I was messing around with this just to take a little GIF of it before I started the stream to share. And so we can switch between these modes. You can see that the background grays sort of dims, and then we can go back into edit mode. And I broke the right button for some reason. So let me go back in and let's just start fixing some of this stuff. There was a, maybe it was in here. Yeah, this, when we go into the edit mode, this, I wanted to take over so that it would move the actor, but the problem I was having yesterday is that I can't figure out how to actually move an actor. So we're gonna have to do some research here. Before we get started, let me just record this side of the computer. My goal eventually is to get this to where like I can actually record these things and then at the end of the day cut up some videos and put them on YouTube. I've just been so overwhelmed with so many different things that I have yet to get this workflow going. Also, a very important mission for today, which I have to start being cognizant of, is I set a new playlist on Spotify so that as we go through this list, as we go through this playlist of royalty-free songs, I can actually pick some that I like and save them, because I was getting so annoyed yesterday at some of the stuff that's been playing. All right, so let's see. What do we need to do here? Am I gonna be yawning? Am I gonna be yawning the entire show? Cool. We're recording, so I'll just pull up Chrome here so we can see this together. And what I want to do is I want to figure out GB Studio best way to make a game loop. Animated background tiles, I don't need to know that. Making an isometric game. There's a couple of different ways of doing these loops, but actually, you know what? Why don't we come back to this loop? What I actually want to see is GB Studio move actor to position. And I want to see what, all right, names your actor, gives you the actor, pin to screen. Choose a sprite graphics display in the actor. Okay, let's do a little bit of experimenting. So what I was trying to do yesterday was I was trying to enable this event and it wasn't letting me select the actor and I didn't know why. Let me do this. Actually, I'm just going to delete this whole thing and we're going to start over again, because technically this is the wait, let me rename this. This is setup edit mode, and up here was rename setup play mode. Just making sure that everything is correct here, right? So we deactivate the player, we do this stuff, we wait, we do the fade, we draw the edit text, and then here we're going to insert an event after. And what I want to see is the actor, actor move, actor, I'm going to do actor move to. And there should be A as in the selector, the actor selector. We're going to change this property to tile X. Actually, wait, no. We are going to change this variable to, I thought I had a V selector X. And we're going to change this to a property for tile Y. So the goal of what I was trying to do here is that I want to insert an event before, and we're going to attach a script to a button. And when we're in this mode, whenever we hit right, we want to move this selector back and forth. So let's put this in here. And then what we're going to do is we need to set the variable to a value. And I want this to be an expression. Actually, I want it to be math. We are going to, if we're going to the right, we are going to take the v selector x, and we're going to add 2 to it. We'll also need to add a condition in here to make sure that we don't go past a certain amount of the loop. But I just want to see right now if we can override this and just move this this selector right and left. Well, that doesn't seem to do much of anything. Also, it's somehow defaulted back to player. Oh, I see what I was doing wrong. I was setting it to the... No, wait. It's still... Why is this set to the player? So, in a attached script, we can't... I'm so confused. We can't move. Like if this is here, we can't move anything but just the player. Like it sees the selector here. Insert event before actor. Let's just say set actor position. Yeah, that's weird. Let's try to make a script. And we're just going to call this picker. All right, and the goal of this is that what we're going to do is we're going to insert I'm trying to think of what should happen. I guess every time that this thing goes, we should move actor A. We'll have to pass in and I want to change it to variable. We're going to set it to the $. It's actually going to be the v underscore selector x, and then let's change this to a variable, and we're just going to do v underscore selector y. All right, so all we're going to do is that every time we hit the right button when we're in edit mode, we're just going to call this script, which should move the actor. Now, we have to go back into here because we have this actor here. What we're going to do is on press, we're going to insert an event before. We're going to call script. Call script. We're going to pass in. We're going to call the picker, and we're going to pass in the. Wow, this is crazy. I don't understand. Like, why can't I? Let me see. There's something. Non-player actor. To move a non-player active script, you'll use the actor move relative event. You'll need to set up a script that's triggered by a button press like the D with that. Add a button press event. Then add your, within the joypad event, click script add event, select actor move relative. Insert event before. Actor move relative. Huh. This is so weird. Like, I don't understand why. I wonder if this is a bug. You can add a timer, set timer script, and then the actor move relative even within. Specify the movement. Set X and Y value to determine how the actor should move, for example. Let's see. Have you tried defining a new animation state for the player? The new state can have the completely different art. Make the actor follow the player. I've been trying, but still difficult with the block areas. And no one seems to have given this person an answer. Disable feature for top down 2D. Add another checkbox to join. Disable the action in all modes. No, let's see. For option 3, so you can choose whether to disable the default behavior of the button while attaching. Alright, I think that's already been done. Actors. Scripting events. Actor script. I think what I need to figure out is that I need to figure out where I want to put the logic for this tile map editor, because if I put it in here, when we toggle the edit mode, we really can't do much here. Activate, we can activate this actor, we can set the actor position, we draw edit, but then once we do this, let me delete this again. Let me see if there's another input that we can use, then maybe I'm missing something. All right, so let's see if right is held. Let's move. We'll just call script. And we could pass this in. Maybe it has something to do with overriding the thing. So this doesn't seem to be called, but why don't we do this? Oh, it's not being called because nothing's being done. Let's do this. We'll add an event before. And we're going to create a... we're going to create a mode. Actually, we're going to do an if. Actor. Actor position, actor facing current scene is variable. Compared with value. All right, so what we're gonna see is that we're gonna try to figure out what direction that's been pressed. And if this equals 0, well, we don't need to do this. We just need to, we need to set the variable to a value. Here we're going to do maths. We'll add. We're going to make this, whoops, v underscore selector x. And just to make this easier, we'll just do, oops, I keep doing that. V selector underscore y. We're going to add this to this, which will move the actor. And now let's take a look at what we got going on here. So all we need to do now is just pass in when we, oh, well, here's part of the problem. The bigger problem is that this isn't actually running anything. So let's add insert event before timer. We'll do attach script timer. And we're going to add we'll add this here. And now what should happen is that this will now become our loop for moving the cursor in the editor. All right. Doesn't seem to do much of anything. Is this even being called? Oh, well, we didn't pass in a direction. So why don't we do this? Insert event before. Variable. Set to value. We'll just call this one, the value will be 0, and then we're going to pass in variable 5. Why am I not able to now edit this at all? Is there a local or something? No, this is inside of a script. So, all right, we'll just do variable 5, which is a global variable. But, all right, what I want to see now is that this should pass in a 1. It'll call the script picker, and then we should be able to see what is going on. Although I already am thinking in my head I need to, like, redo the way this all works, but that's fine. We'll get to that. Still not moving, huh? Let's do this. Let's delete this. We're going to call this here. And we're just going to pass in a number. We don't even need to pass in a variable. And a selector, if right held. Again, I don't know why it's defaulting to attach the timer on tick. This is still the selector. Yeah, I don't know. There must be some sort of scoping issue or something that I'm missing. Let me see if I do it here. Add event, move actor to so I think the scoping issue is that if we're trying to call this inside of another script, this is not going to work. I think what we have to do is it has to be called from up here. So here's what I want to figure out. Let me just try this real quick and see if this does anything. Still doesn't do anything, but that might be because it's not in a loop. Insert event before. Attach a timer script on tick. Let's put that in here. And we still have access to the actor. This script is going to run. I want to go back into here and just delete all this stuff here so we're not having a conflict. And back on the main screen, what we're going to do is insert event before. We're going to set a variable. We're going to get the math add. We're going to change it to a variable. We're going to make this v underscore selector x, and we're going to set this to a variable of v selector y. Oh no, wait. We just want to add 2 to this. So we're going to add 2 to this number. Do this, and then let's see what happens here. We'll watch the v selector x and see if it increments, even if it doesn't move the guy. Well, that did something. V selector X. How did that go so haywire? Oh, right, because we're not setting the, oh my God. Let's set the variable to V selector X, V V selector Y. All right, so now this should increment based on what's going on here. Or just do nothing. Is this actor not set to anything? Why doesn't this update? V underscore selector X. Now I just want to see how this is supposed to work. The interval might be a little slow, I think is the problem. All right, whoops. Oh, see, it doesn't stop because it's wait, play map. So I moved, it worked, but it didn't add to itself. Oh, well, I'm doing something stupid here. First off, this is supposed to be the v underscore selector X. So nothing's going to work if it's not actually setting it to the right variable. So we're going to take the selector X value, we're going to add 2 to it, and we're going to go and do that. So now let's run this again. And at least now we should be able to see this thing moving. Okay, so it's moving over by 2, so let's move it by 1 and see if this works. One of the things we're going to do is we're also going to add looping, because instead of just making it like stop at a certain place, I think it's just easier on the Game Boy to like be able to like loop through all this input stuff. This is just going to be a lot of input. All right, there we go. I wish it was a little faster. Wonder if we can make this 2. Let's see if this will move faster. But we've made some progress. There we go. Now it feels a little bit more responsive. So what's going to happen here is that we're going to make this, we're going to attach a timer here. Rename event. We're going to call this the game loop. And the game loop will we'll have 2 parts of the game loop. Let's insert an event before, and we're just going to make it a comment. And the comment is going to be run editor loop. And let's get rid of this for a second. And so what we need is a condition here. So insert event before, condition, oops, variable is set to true. We are going to make this, this should be variable underscore edit mode is set to true. We are going to run this stuff in here. And if not, so here we're going to test to see rename event. This is going to be edit mode. And then here on the else, we're going to do nothing for right now. So now this should only take effect when it's done. What we want to do is I just want to make sure that all this stuff sits within this on tick correctly. On game loop. Edit mode. So a variable, if this variable equals true, then we are going to run the editor loop. And part of the editor loop is going to be this. So what we want to do beforehand is that we want to set an event after that stores actor, wait, actor position in variables. So we'll start by taking this actor, which we should actually just rename selector. And then down here, we're going to get the selector X and the selector Y. So let's do, here we're going to store the actor's position. So we need X. Oh, wait. Yeah, why don't I see? Here we go. X selector X and then X selector Y. So what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the player's position, right? We're going to get the current position of the actor. Then we're going to test what the actor should do. So if this is going to the right, we're basically going to increment this, and then what we'll do at the end of this is, let's just move this down here. If right is held. Okay, so what I wanted to do is, I want to make it run like this. We're going to test if it's true. The actor, we're going to save the actor's X and Y position. Then we want to tell the actor at the end of this to move. This is just not, oh, there we go. Okay. So, and then in each of these scenarios, for it being left or right, we're going to just, we're going to do a bunch of things. Technically, the way that I was thinking about it is that you'll always start sort of in the last selection place, but if you move up, that goes into a different mode, and there's two different modes inside of the editor. But for right now, let's just focus on, I'm going to change this variable, insert an event before. We're going to increment by 1, and we're going to increment the selector X here. Let's delete that. Let's delete that. Then I want to test for insert event after button. If button is held left, we're going to, it's weird that this thing has an else, because I can't really test for a different button. So I guess the else will just be ignored. But in this case, what we're going to do, well, we can't do this. We're going to have to actually, I think they call it decrement by 1. I still don't think that's a real word. I should actually look that up. So we move to the left, we're going to make the actor there. And then here, what's going to wind up happening is that this will actually just move the actor and update him. There's some other conditional stuff that I'm going to do. I don't know how well the Game Boy handles guard clauses and other things. I guess it really just comes down to how well this compiles down to assembly, but whoops. How did I break? What did I do here? I broke something. Let's disable this game loop. On press. This attaches a button to the start button. Maybe I just didn't press the start button down? No, it was switching edit mode. Right, all right. Play mode. So let's enable this event and let's see what's happening. Interesting. When that's activated, it no longer works. Attach. What is this B button one? Wait, this shouldn't be here. Let's delete this. Let's delete this. So we have this script to attach to the start button. This shouldn't... change that though. Selector. I still don't really have my... I still haven't wrapped my head around these loops. At least like how to do a good game loop. Is something happening that I'm missing here? I'm not sure why this would actually... why this would actually matter. On tick, if edit mode. It's weird, I don't have my else anywhere that I can see. I store the selector. We're in edit mode, we're setting, oh, wait. This is wrong. This needs to be a condition. Insert before if variable is true. Delete this. So we're going to put this in here and reduce this. So we're going to run the editor, and these are the two. It's either we're either in edit mode, rename, or we are not in edit mode, and then that's where the rest of the game loop stuff will go. So what we're going to do now is we need to store the selector position. Let's move that here. Then we're going to test what position is, or what button is being held. And then at the end of this loop, we are going to change this. And that should maybe not break it. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this visual coding stuff. Like just, and the UX in this. I would love to rebuild the visual coder in this. All right, there we go. So the left and right's not working, but that's fine. We'll look in that next. All right, so now the real question is selector move to. Increment selector X by 1. I'm going to put this in here. I also wonder... how to fire event on button release. First, I just want to see if this fixed anything. No. Shooting events, triggers. Loading projectiles at runtime. Custom events. Building a custom event. As you work with the game, you'll notice several scenes have a lot of scripts in common. Perhaps you run events setting a player sprite. Custom events are groups of events that you can create and add to your actor, trigger, and scene scripts, just like normal events. The trick is that unlike the other standard events, you can define a custom event does. I already do that. These are just scripts. I don't understand what's... Optimize your game when you find yourself repeating scripts. Due to their limited referencing 10 variables and actors, large scripts, for example, being used in RPG battles may need to split across multiple custom events. You also may need to ensure you're properly reassigning the placeholder variables and actors. Other common uses: button assignment. Attaching scripts to customize button mapping, like weapons, button, start, can be handled. Managing money. Changing the player sprite sheet. If you have a character customized using 4-frame. Okay. That didn't really help me with much. Let me do this. In edit mode, if the condition... Oh. Jeez. I'm so bad at picking like the right thing. We weren't even testing the right variable. So now we're testing the edit mode variable. Okay, so that works now. So what we need to do is I'm just trying to think of how I want to handle this. So we're going to increment this player. We're going to store the selected if right, else. Let's put this at the end here. So now, no matter what, this actor is always just going to be going to its specific position. And we'll do a little flag based on the mode. There's actually going to be 3 modes in the editor, based on where you are. So now we can go left and right. So what I was actually thinking of doing was, I'm thinking of looping. I'm just trying to think through here what I want to do, because there's a bunch of different ways that we can handle this, and I think what I need to do. Let's try this for a second. Let's see if we can set the sprite. Set actor sprite sheet. We're going to set this to sprite sheet. No, why would I change the entire? That's not what I want. I want to do, let's see. Set actor animation frame. That's what I want to do. I want to change this to animation frame. Let's just set it to 2. And then that'll just lock it in place. Because what I want to do is I want to get this in sync, so that what happens is that you're incrementing a value between 0 and however many tiles there are for placing things in the level. And see, it's going to insert event before actor set sprite sheet set. What are actor effects? Play an actor effect animation on a selected actor. Selected frame value. All right, let's do this. We're going to set the frame speed to none. And this way we're going to stop the animation. I'm going to have to move this in other parts of the script, but all right, there we go. See, now it stopped animating. And what we'll do is as we go through here, we'll make this loop around. So let's do this. We're going to call this actor picker. And on here, what we're going to do is that when we are in edit mode, we're going to do all this stuff. Basically, at the end of this, let's do this. Selector animation to none. I'm just trying to see if I set up anything else in here. I thought there was a place where I was hiding. Store the player the position. Set up the current tile ID. Load the metadata. This should probably happen first. Then we take the current position of the player, start X, Y. We do v-edit mode equals false, right? We're setting the edit mode to false. The current tile we're going to set to 0. We're going to move the camera and we're going to fade the screen in. What I'm not seeing is what actually hides this, and I think what actually hides this is on init. So we're itself, we're moving it to 1010. We don't need to move this anywhere. Delete it. Well, actually, we'll hold off on that for a second. Store the position, and then what we want to do is actor set animation speed to none, and actor set animation frame to 0. And I want to go back in here and fix something here real quick. Although actually, no, wait, it should be 1. All right, so now I'm duplicating this in 2 places, but let's just make sure I didn't break anything here. All right, so what I want to do is I'm going to create a counter that as we move around here, we will offset. I'm just trying to think through something. I'm trying to think of if I'm trying to think of how I'm going to do these numbers. And if I need to create I guess the real question is, do I need to create a sprite with a selector that has every single one of these characters? I guess I can do that. There's enough memory for it. Oh, I think when I come up to here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do palette swapping. So, all right, let's focus on one thing at a time. So I really want to get this logic out of here. Let me copy this event. Let's go to the actor picker. Let me see if they'll let me. Sure. Paste event before. All right, good. Now we got all this stuff. We can delete this and we can delete this. All right, I'm gonna take a quick break for 1 second just so I can switch my desk down to standing and you don't have to listen to that noise. I will be right back and then we will continue where we left off. All right, and I'm back. Not feeling this song. All right, so we've now moved all of this logic over. The one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to move this stuff out of here. I want to make this a selector. And basically what's going to happen is that as this thing loops, we're automatically going to check whether we're in edit mode back in the parent script. So we don't need to rerun this whole thing. And if right held, if left held. All right, let me get rid of this event. Now what we want to do is at the beginning of this thing, we want to set, we don't need to do this anymore because we already have that set up in the parent. We'll change this later. If selector move to, if right is held. Okay, so we need to come back up here. So we're going to store. So let's do this. Let's rename this, save current position. Okay. We'll just do this like this. I don't know why this wound up happening, but sure. Actor A would do the selector X, selector Y. We're going to save the current position. Next, we're going to see if the right or the left was held down. If the right was held down, what we're going to do is we're going to increment this by 1. And what I'm actually thinking is that there should just be a a value that represents which one of the enemy, like which one of the actors we're selecting, and then we're going to increment that, and then we'll use that increment to calculate where it needs to move to. All right, let's do this a different way. So what I want to do is we're going to save the actors X and Y position. You know, right now, let's just make sure this all works, and then I'll go through and I'll clean this up. So now let's go back here. And now if we're in edit mode, let's add an event, paste event before. Oh no, I don't want to do that. I want to insert an event before, call script. We're going to do the actor picker, and we're going to pass in both of these for right now, and I'll go back and I'll figure out why it's doing that. And we're going to move this up here, and we're going to rename this run actor picker script. I don't think we need message. I just wanted to have this green label so I could see what was going on. Call script to the actor picker. So here we're going to call the actor picker. We're going to delete this and all this other stuff as we don't need this anymore. Delete, 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 and delete. And in fact, what we're going to wind up doing above here is that we're actually going to test to see what mode it's in, and then we'll call a specific script based on that. So let's see if this still lets me move the selector back and forth. Good. All right, so now we can move it back and forth still, and we're good to go. I also want to make a script here that's going to be called change picker mode. And what we'll do is we'll set this to if variable compared with 1, if this equals 0, add an event, a comment, and we're just going to rename this event, and we're going to call this to do change to number input, and we're going to change variable, set variable to value. And what we're going to do here is we're going to change the variable selector Y. So we're going to do this where, actually, we'll do it in reverse, I think. We're going to, let's rename this. I'll explain why in a minute. Insert, rename event. This would just be rename event. Why can't I like select in here? All right, change to tile mode, or we'll just do change to paint mode. We'll call this paint. And then in order to get to paint mode, we want to move the selector down. We want its Y value to be 11. And now, if variable if variable a equals 1, let's add a comment, and we'll rename this event to do change to actor select mode, and then the if variable compared with value, if this equals 2, then what we're going to do is what are we going to do here? We're going to make a new comment. Rename this comment to do change to code mode. All right, so here we're going to copy this event. We're going to paste this into here, paste event after, whoops, paste event after. And if we are in, let's see, if we are in, what was this mode? Select mode, we want this guy to be, I think it's 7.5. I have it somewhere else. Maybe I have it, I think I move it here or something, where I defined that picker early on. What did I do with this actor? God, it's so hard to find anything. Change script picker mode, script picker, script toggle edit. I think it's here I set it up. A selector. All right, well, we'll do it anyways here. Let's do this script picker mode. So we're gonna set the value to, I'll just put it over here for right now, which is Y8. And then we're going to do the same thing here. So let's copy this event. We're going to paste after, and we're going to set, I think the code stuff starts, this is here. No, it starts right here. So this is Y. Oh, whoops. No. Y is 5. And we'll come back to this in 1 second. Basically, the idea is that every time you hit up or down, I'm going to calculate whether you need, what mode you need to switch to. This script shouldn't have any impact right now because I'm not doing anything, and we don't have up and down. So when we start this up, we are going to create a new, we're going to set edit mode defaults. The real question is, if we toggle edit mode, we should reset the mode. All right, let's do that. What we'll do here is we're going to set the mode to true. We're going to we're going to create an event before, and what we're going to set is a variable. to value. And so whenever we go into edit mode, we are going to I'm trying to think about this. We should actually just call delete event. We should actually call a script insert event before, call script. We're going to call the script change picker mode. We are going to pass in what is this? Actor variable A. Okay. V mode. Here we're going to pass in, when we call this script, which was back here, oh no, it was inside of this toggle. Here we're going to call the script, we're going to make this a number, and we're going to set this to 1. And I actually wanted to make some constants here. So this first constant is going to be play mode will be 0. We're going to make this edit mode will be 1 for true. And I wanted to see here real quick if I can do that's fine. When we need to toggle something, we'll use these constants. But what we need to do here is we want paint mode. Actually, we should call the C paint mode. C edit mode. C play mode. And then let's add in C paint mode, C actor mode. And then we're going to do C underscore. I need to make the actor mode 1, or 2. Yeah, this will be 0, 2. This is going to be code mode. This paint mode is 0, actor mode is 1. And the reason I'm trying to do these constants is that I'm just trying to clean up, like, this is the way that like, visually, the hierarchy I can't stand. I can't figure out what's going on. But what I want to make sure is that when we go to, like, script toggle edit, and then here we go script change picker mode, we can now pass in a constant, and we're going to always default to actor mode. And then just to test something out, if we're in the actor picker, we have, if it's right, we have if it's left. Let's insert an event before. And what we're going to do is button, if button is held, and we're going to look for for up. We're going to call the script, and we're going to call script change picker mode. We're going to pass in a constant. And now, since we are already in the sprite editor, we are going to change it to the, or so we're already in the actor mode. We're going to change it to code mode. And the inverse would be if we set an event, paste an event before. Oh no, I don't want to paste the event. I want to Sure, let's just copy this event. Copy. Edit, paste, insert event before. Paste event before. So we'll do down. And if we're in the actor mode, we're going to change it now into the paint mode, which goes to where the tiles are. And what I'm just trying to see is that this should change the selector, its position now. So it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be a lot of logic we need to clean up, but at least we're getting like the basics in. See, now we moved up here and we technically were going to be in the code mode. Let me see, what's the... Let's see what edit mode is. Not, and it's not going down to paint mode, but that's fine. Okay. Because the other thing that we need to do here is on this loop, we are testing that we're in edit mode. We are insert event before if variable compared with value. So we want to see if the edit mode compared with constant equals actor mode. We are now we are only going to be calling this here. So let's move this over here. Because then what's going to happen is that if we, when we change modes, we only want to be running one of these scripts at a time. And I'm going to try to like break these scripts down into smaller blocks so that they're easier to manage. So let's go see if this is actually working. All right, so now we'll check out edit mode, because if we change, oh, edit mode was supposed to go to, I think it's not being saved. So let's go here when we go to script change mode. We'll just do change mode. We don't need this. V selector X. Right, so the first thing we need to do when we set the script, insert the event before, we want to set variable to a value, and we're going to set this to variable B, or actually, no, we're going to set it to variable V, and no. Ugh. This is going to be variable underscore edit mode, and this is going to be the variable of V mode. And then what now happens is, wait, what is the difference between V mode and V edit mode? Oh, V mode is the local. Oh, this should be called P, that's why. I've been trying to do these, this like nomenclature where at least if I'm using like a property, it's P, a variable, which is sort of global, is underscore V, because I keep mixing them up and it's not very clear in the UI here. Maybe when I get done with some of my other projects, I'll take a look at the, I would love to actually clean up GB Studio and make this more user-friendly, or at least visually appealing. So what we're gonna do here is, this is 5, this is 8, and this is 11. All right, so now when we're changing the mode, we're saving. So now this is stuck because it's at 2 because we're no longer in that mode. And likewise, if we come here, now if we go down, we should go into the paint mode. I wonder if part of the issue is that it's not moving. It stops moving the character once we exit out of that script. I want to rename this to tile picker. I want to rename this to tile mode. We're going to have basically code, tile, and paint, and those will be the 3 modes. I don't know why I was calling it actor earlier. It really is just you're selecting what tile you want to paint with. Script change mode, we're fine. Script picker. I don't think we're using this anywhere. I'm going to delete this for right now. Oh, 2 uses of this. All right, never mind. Where's it being used? This script hasn't been used in project. Yeah, I don't think I'm using this. Yeah, delete this script. Is that going to catastrophically break anything? Mm-hmm. All right. All right, so what I want to do is I want to set up these other scripts now. I wish you could like duplicate a script. So script toggle editor. Script change mode. Tile picker. Okay, I see. All right. So we have the script tile picker. Let's change this to script code picker. And for right now, we're just going to add a press if button held down. We're going to come here and we're going to script change mode. We'll pass in a constant, and then we're going to set this back to tile mode. And then we'll do the same thing in reverse. All I need to do now is just make sure I add this in. So here we're testing to see if we're in tile mode. Else if we're in this, let's copy event and paste it below. So if edit mode is in code mode, we want to call the tile script picker script tile picker script code picker. And then the last thing we want to do is let's paste this event after. Let's create a new script here called script paint picker. And what we're going to do here is if we do button, if button is held up, we are going to call script change mode, and we're going to pass in the tile mode. So this is the paint mode, and then if we come back here, we can simply just tell this now to call the this is going to be the paint picker for in tile mode. See tile mode, see tile mode. If we're in this is the tile picker, we're in the code picker, this should be the paint mode and script paint picker. All right, so now what I want to see is that we can switch between each of these three modes. I don't think I have the I don't think I have the movement correct yet, but we'll look at the debugger here. So now we're in mode 2. If we hit down, now we can't do up anymore. Is paint mode 0? Script change to tile mode. So if P mode comes in, we are setting the selector. This is paint mode. So we want to do constant. If it's paint mode, here we want to do a constant, and we want this to be tile mode, and then here we want a constant, and this is paint. No, this is code mode. So the whole goal of what this is actually doing is it's basically taking the selector's Y position, and it's just going to move it incrementally to one of these values. So I'm going to make this. This is 811. It should be. Let's see if this actually fixes this. So I can go down and then down, but it's still acting a little wonky because I don't think it's actually calling the I don't think it's actually calling that other script. Let's come back here for a second. I need to take a look at these conditions. So if, let's rename this. If paint mode, rename this. If code mode, write the conditions here, and then here rename if code mode, if paint mode, This is probably tile mode. Rename. Tile mode. Okay. Script paint picker. Whoops. Script paint picker. If this up, let's do message. Change to tile mode. Let's copy this. In the code picker, if we go down, let's paste this event after, and this goes back to tile mode. And then if we're in the tile picker and we go up, we will paste the event after. And if we're going up, we're going to code mode. If we're going down, we are insert event after, paste event after. We are changing to paint mode. All right, let's debug this now and see where we're missing the script and which script isn't getting called. All right, so we're going to change the color mode, code mode. If we go down, we're going to change the tile mode. And now we're going to change the paint mode. And paint mode doesn't seem to be getting called. So script paint picker. We'll just add a message event here. That paint mode is running. And then when we're here, I just want to make sure that if we're in edit mode, so if we're in tile mode, we call the script tile picker and we pass it in this tile script editor or script tile picker, like making things up as I go along. I wanted to see why there are two. I want to see why there are two things here. Select actor to move to. Actor A. Actor A select fine. Do we even have? I just want to see what actually is using test here. I'm just going to call this unknown for right now because I don't know what it goes to. Value selector. If held. Change the code mode. Change the paint mode. A selector. Unknown. Set animation frame to. There we go. There we go. Now that was what it was. So we used to set the animation thing here. Okay. So now that is cleaned up. What I want to see here is scripted tile picker. Let's see if we're moving everything to the right place now. Change the code mode. So that moves the code mode. Change the tile mode, which didn't move down. And now change the paint mode. And paint mode is running. But paint mode only runs once. That's weird. Why is it not looping? All right, how about this? I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break, and then let me just refresh, like just clear my head for a second. I'll come back in a little bit, and then we'll continue to tackle this until, I don't know, the next like hour and change. And then later this afternoon, we'll get the actual tile painting working. But we're not far away, so I just need to take a moment to step away from this. So I'll be right back. All right, let's get back to this. So, what I want to do is I'm trying to decide if I want to move the cursor logic outside and leave it, put it in here. So basically what I don't want to have to do is in each of these, like, in each of these things, I'm moving the cursor, and I don't really want to do that. So let's do this. I'm going to copy this event, and I'm going to disable it here. We're going to leave the set animation frame. That's fine. And then what I want to do is in the main loop, after we test out which paste event after we test out which event is what, we're going to move the actor to its X and Y position. And this way, every one of these things is going to automatically handle just movement. And in fact, what I want to do is, let's go to Paint Tile Picker, and I'm going to copy this out as well. And we're going to disable this event, because now what'll happen is that paste event before. No, wait, sorry. I always pick event, paste event before. So what we're going to do is we're going to save the selector's current position. Then we're going to loop through mode logic. Let's make this a group. Insert event before. So now what's going to happen is that we're going to save the current position on every tick. We're going to create a loop. Well, it's not really a loop. We're basically just going to go through each mode to see if we're in that mode, we're going to call the script that's associated with that mode. And then at the very end, we're going to rename event, update selector position. Let's just rerun this and see if this works. All right, so now we can still move. If we move down, it still won't let us move out. There's something wrong with the paint mode. I'm not sure what that is, but let's see. Event group. I want to see why, if this is paint mode, script paint picker. Paint picker is fine. It's code picker is the one that's the problem. Or is it? No, it is paint picker. Paint picker going back up doesn't actually run. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move paint picker up to the top. I'm going to move tile and code here. This way, at least it's 0, 1, 2, and it's just in order. We update the selectors thing, that's fine. When we switch between script change mode, we'll start with paint mode, which is 0. And we set the cursor down to 11. in this mode, in tile mode, we set it to 8. And here we should set it to 6. Let's see. I'm just going to work on the top 2 modes for right now, and then I'll figure out what's going on with the paint mode. It's weird. I don't know why it moves so far. Let's do... I'm gonna... Selector... I want to disable this event and disable this event. And let's just focus on if we are in tile mode. And then that should set it to 8. I want to see if there's something else that's moving these things up and down. All right, and then set the paint mode. I think the problem is this is 8, 9, 10. We actually need to set this to 10. And we need to set this to 8. And let's see if we can now just toggle between these 2 modes. Yeah, there we go. All right, so now what we want to do is that if this mode is, so let's see here, we're going to rename this event if paint mode is true. Now we can close this up. Rename event if tile mode is true. That'll move it down to there, and then rename this event if code mode is true. All right, so that handles these things. This mode, basically what happens is that when we pass in the P mode, we'll call this new mode. We're going to set the new mode to it. Then we're going to test out what should happen. So paint mode is off for right now. Here we're testing that this mode, if the P new mode, well, I don't want to test P new mode. What I want to test actually is the actual mode at this point. So if we're in tile mode, we're going to delete this, and we're going to rename, move selector Y, or set selector Y to tile row. And then here, if code mode is true, we're going to rename this, and we're going to set selector Y to code row. And then here, if paint mode is true, let's enable this event. And here we're going to rename this to set selector Y to paint row. And I think this is 10, it should be 12. All right, so let's edit this. And now we can still move left and right. If we move up, we're changing to code mode. We can't do anything. I'll get to that in a minute. Now we're back down. And if we go down, we change to paint mode, which is going to be 13. But we still can't move up. And I'm not particularly sure why. All right, let's do this. So if paint mode, script paint picker, it's funny, like it actually, it calls it fine. So I don't know why I can't do anything in this mode, but all right, so we save the current position, we update the position, and then we're good to go. Now, let's change the script change mode. We're going to change the paint mode to 13. And let's do something in here. In the paint picker, if any of held up. Wait, let me delete this for a second. Insert event before button. If button held up. Okay, I see what it's doing. Here we're going to do call script. And we're going to do script change mode. And we're going to pass in a constant that will be the tile mode. Let's see if this works. Maybe I just had to rebuild it or something. Yo no sé. Yo no sé. All right. But I can't move up. It's so weird. Because the code mode is the same exact thing. Let me move this into here. Change to tile mode. All right, change the paint mode. And it just doesn't work. So somewhere around here, I'm not calling this correctly, because let's look at this. The edit mode is set to 0. If paint mode script running paint picker. So this should, like, display this message whenever we go into the picker mode or the paint mode. Change the paint mode. So what are we missing here? Paint mode is 0. If change mode, is it because this is 0? Let's rerun this again and see if I wonder if I have to. Oh wait, it did not like this idea. Background tile is too small. Must be tools versions. What just happened there? Constant. This is going to be paint mode. That was weird. I don't know what that error was about. Alright, so we're going to change the paint mode. And still nothing. I'm wondering if... Let's change paint mode to 3. And see if that makes a difference. And then everywhere this should be referenced to see paint mode. When we call this, when we go from the tile picker down, if held down, we are changing to paint mode. Fine. When we toggle the change mode, we are looking for paint mode. Fine. And then we move the selector to 13, which did run. So I can go to code mode, fine. I can go down to tile mode. Running paint picker. Running paint, that's what it was. Oh, that's cool. It didn't like 0. I guess because technically I guess it just evaluates, is it a Boolean? That's so weird. All right, whatever, it works now. Where's paint picker? Let's get rid of this event. And back in this loop, let's get rid of this delete event. That is interesting. So you really don't want to compare a variable that has a 0 value unless you're looking for it to be a Boolean or not. All right, so we can now go to code mode. We can come back here to tile mode. And then we're here, and then we can go back up to code mode. Code mode. It shouldn't have gone to code mode. It should go to when we script change mode. When we, no wait. This is in the paint picker. If we go up, it should go to tile mode. Why didn't it do that? All right, so we go to paint mode. It's so weird that it's going to tile mode and then it's completely skipping. it's completely skipping this and going to script paint picker, change mode to tile mode. Let me disable this for a second, see if there's something else that's calling something. So it doesn't go up because we've disabled it, so nothing else is calling that. Let's enable the event script change mode, and we're going to set it to tile mode, which should be 1. I'm going to set it to 1 and see what happens. That's really weird. I don't know why it's just ignoring this variable constant tile mode. Does tile mode have the wrong number that I'm missing? No, 1. Tile mode is 1. Paint mode is 3. Edit mode, code mode is 2. 1, 2, 3. Maybe script paint picker. Maybe the tile picker is... No, it would... Let's add a breakpoint here. I want to see if there may be this weird issue with the... there may be an issue with the fact that I'm using these like button down things and I'm not tracking releasing a button. All right, it says switch to code mode. And that's not, here we go. That's fine, that's code mode, but from the change mode, new mode, let's set a breakpoint here and let's see what paint mode is passing up the chain. All right, so we're going to set this down. Whoops, let's continue. And now, if we set this up, what should be happening now is that we're setting the mode to 1, which is tile mode. Can I add a breakpoint here? Huh. Something else is pushing it into that mode. Let me see if it's even triggering it. I will say this debugger is brilliant now that they've added this in. I mean, it's actually evolved quite a bit. I think when I first started using it, it was too rough around the edges for me. All right, so let's go down to this, and what we're going to see is I want to see if it hits the tile mode first. So it stopped here. How do I know where it stopped? Oh, that's cool. I can see the GBVM script behind the scenes. Set selector Y to tile row. I don't know what's going on with that. I can come back and deal with that later. That's like the least of my worries. What I do want to do, what I did want to do in this script change mode is I wanted to override insert event after move to actor move to. I want the moving to be instantaneous. So we'll do actor A, and we're going to set the variable of v underscore selector x and v underscore selector y. And now actor A should be a selector. I wonder if you should do P actor selector. At least this way, it's still here as a parameter. And then up here, when we change the mode, we need to do it in all of these now. Because it's going to have to get passed back. I don't like that idea. Here, we're going to do it this way. Let's copy this event. Let's delete this event. We'll get rid of that property. And then I much rather do this here, where we loop through the save current position of the selector. Let's insert an event after, and we're going to set variable to a value. And we're going to do a local 3, and we're going to call this local old mode, and we'll set this to equal v underscore edit mode. Oh, you know what? I'm doing something really stupid, and I just realized it. I'm interchanging the editor mode, and I'm setting it to different values. And I noticed it before. It didn't register. Well, something registered, something was wrong. I didn't catch it early enough. But what we need to do is there needs to be a different variable here. This is edit mode label, old mode, v old mode, v edit mode. Yeah, but when we're doing this script change mode, we're assigning the mode to the v edit mode. But v edit mode is what we're using to actually toggle to edit mode. So let's do this. Trying to think of what would be easier. We'll leave edit mode. Let's go back here into script change mode, and we're going to do v here. We're going to now call this variable 5. Let's go back in here and rename variable 5. We're going to call this v underscore selector mode. All right, this will fix one problem that we're having, because I think I know what was happening before. Because we are testing out the editor mode, This is also testing the editor mode. And what happened is that when we set it to paint, which was 0, it basically told the engine that it was no longer in edit mode, but it didn't do any transitions, so I didn't notice it. So what we want to do here is we want to do editor select mode, editor selector mode, editor selector mode. Then in the script change mode, we are going to use this, and we are going to test the selector mode on each of these conditions. Selector mode, selector mode. And now let's go back here to paint mode, and we're going to set this back to 0. And I don't think there's any other place. Let me see. If we go into edit mode, it says it's not being used anywhere. But what I want is select edit mode here. All right, that's done. I'm just trying to figure out now where this is being called so that I can make sure that it's only being called on one script. Okay, perfect. And honestly, this toggle mode, set up editor mode. What we want to do here is if v-edit mode is true. All right, we're just going to leave that as true and false, and I don't think we need these variables, so we're going to delete this and this, which will just save us from. I'm trying to. I noticed in my last couple of projects that everything just became like super messy, so I'm trying to get this to be a little bit cleaner. All right, so we'll change the code mode. We'll change back down to tile mode, and then we'll change the paint mode. And then for some reason, going back up just goes to code mode, so I don't know what's going on there, but we'll get to that later. So what I wanted to do was in the script change mode. Oh, I remember what it was. We're doing it in here. I was saving the old mode. And if what I want to do is I want to test within this condition, update selector position. What we're going to do is insert event before, and we're going to test if variable, compare variable to a variable. We want to take a look at the old mode. If the old mode equals the current selector mode, right? Let's make sure we're saving the correct thing here. We are starting this out. We are getting setting the edit mode defaults. The current tile is 0, which we'll get to later. Camera move, fine. Fade in screen. Okay, then we look for testing edit mode. And then here we do the script to toggle the mode, and we pass in the selector, which is fine. And then this is the game loop. So for the game loop, what we want is the v-edit mode. We're making sure that we're making sure that v-edit mode is true. And then we're going to move the selector. So we're going to save the current position. We're going to take the old mode, and we're going to take the old mode from, this is what I just wanted to make sure, because I think this, glad I caught this one. All right, to this selector mode. Then down here, we're going to test to see if where was it? Okay, if the old mode equals the V selector mode, all we're going to do is keep updating the player or the cursor to its whatever its next position is. So that'll just continuously run. But if not, we want to move. There's like an instant move. Actor. Move. Set actor position. We're going to change this to our selector. And we are going to then select the variable, which will be V underscore selector X and variable V underscore selector Y. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because I want it to be where when you switch modes in edit mode, it immediately just jumps up to the next mode's location versus like tweening up to it. Going from key to key, I don't mind the tween animation. That's why we separated this out. So you'll see it just jumps there. We'll go to code mode, it jumps there. And from code mode, we'll go to tile mode and back up again. All right, so I think we're in a place where I might wind up just taking a break and coming back a little bit later today. Because we're really close and I could just use a little bit of a mental refresh at the moment. So what we'll do after lunch, I'll just come back around 1 o'clock. For the rest of the afternoon, what we're going to do is, now that we have the main logic for going from from mode to mode, we now need to start adding in the logic for selecting the tile and understanding which tile we're using or which thing we're editing at the time. And that's what I want to take a break from, so I can just think through it. So I'll be back around 1 o'clock. And don't forget to, I guess, subscribe if you want to be notified whether I'm back on or not. But I will definitely be back on because this is the lion's share of the code that needs to be done today. Then I'm hoping between today and tomorrow I'll finish up the level editor, or at least the functioning level editor. Friday I will add in the game logic, the scoring and all that other stuff. That hopefully should just take me a day. I think I have most of that stuff worked out from my earlier prototype. And then Saturday, I think I'm busy, but Sunday I'm going to just polish everything. And then that should be the end of this project. So, all right, thanks for watching. I'll see you at 1.